And joining us now with more is Democratic Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthy from Illinois. He is a member of the House Oversight Committee, which heard testimony from the Secret Service Director just yesterday. Congressman, it's always a pleasure to see you. I thank you for your time. Your reaction first to this news that the Director is stepping down.
I think it was appropriate. I called on her to resign. I think yesterday she was very evasive. She wasn't able to answer even basic questions with regard to the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And so given that the Democratic National Convention is only weeks away, given that Kamala Harris is likely going to be the next Democratic nominee for the presidency, and she's going to attract her own bevy of threats, unfortunately, and what we've seen so far in terms of the current director not being able to answer basic questions, it's only appropriate that she leaves.
Why do you think it was that she was unable to answer, as you say, even basic questions, including, for example, just a very general tick-tock of what happened? Why do you think that is?
I think you'd have to ask her, but my sense of it was it almost felt like she didn't feel like she had to answer the questions. She didn't feel like she needed to do so. And I think that is exactly the wrong approach when it comes to congressional oversight. You want to be transparent. You got to be candid. And if you end up being defensive and it feels like you're obstructing the inquiry, then you're just going to frustrate lawmakers on all sides.
You asked, among the questions that you asked the then director, you asked questions related to recorded footage clearly showing the gunman getting into position before the assassination attempt. What questions, Congressman, do you still have about what happened at that rally?
I have a lot of questions. One of them is, why in the 20 minutes before shots rang out, when on at least 3 different occasions, Secret Service and law enforcement became aware of this threat, they didn't pause the rally. It didn't make any sense. And if you recall from my questioning of Cheadle, Director Cheadle basically said they didn't even consider pausing the rally, which makes no sense. So that's question one. The second is, why wasn't that rooftop on the AGR building secured? Why wasn't that part of the perimeter? In the age of AR-15 style weapons, and we can talk about that and whether they should even be allowed. I have my own strong opinions on that. But the fact that they are allowed means that you have to design the perimeter in such a way that people outside the perimeter can't endanger the protectees within the perimeter given the range of those weapons. And so that was just, to me, I don't know, Secret Service 101 with regard to securing the site.
Congressman, do you think that as of right now, this Tuesday, the protectees of the Secret Service, the 28-plus people, and the new responsibilities that they're going to have going forward, do you think that these people should feel as though they're protected?
So I think with regard to the individual details for those protectees that you had mentioned, the 28 to 36 protectees, I think they are excellent, and I think those people should feel generally secure. However, with regard to big events, with regard to outdoor rallies, with regard to situations that are maybe a little bit less clear in terms of how do you design the protection, I think that they have to put a lot more thought into it right now. And, the next director has to be super detail-oriented, organized, and has to have redundant layers of protection. And finally, they have to be candid with Congress about what they need from us, either in terms of new authorities, laws, or resources to do their job.
Yeah, I mean, they have their budget is more than $3 billion. Correct. A year. Yesterday,
8,000 employees, Jose.
I was just going to say that yesterday the then director was saying that in their ideal world they'd had 9,500 employees. What I don't know is how many of those 8,000 employees are in situ agents versus part of the bureaucracy.
That's right. You know, one of the things that was a little bit troubling, again, she was evasive about this, but the Trump security detail apparently had requested additional resources from the Secret Service, and they were denied those resources, and she wasn't willing to get into that. And so that's another area of inquiry. Do they need more personnel? They need more people from behind those desks, so to speak, getting out into the field to help the Trump folks or the Trump detail. What additional resources or authorities do they need with regard to people with weapons? You know, if you have an AR-15 and you're right outside the perimeter of an event, what, you know, the Secret Service can and can't do with regard to that person right now is really unclear. I think that a Milwaukee police officer had basically expressed frustration about that at the RNC. And so now we have to look at everything.
Congressman, I know that look at everything includes congressional investigations into it. What do you want to see going forward?
Well, you know, first of all, I'm glad that at least there's a spirit of bipartisanship with regard to this investigation. I think that we have to bring some sense of urgency to it because, you know, the Democratic National Convention in my hometown of Chicago is happening very soon. We're going to have, again, the president, in my opinion, the next president, Kamala Harris, and others there. And so we've got to have our A game. We got to make sure that the Secret Service has what it needs. Local law enforcement has what they need to do their jobs. And the congressional investigation or any oversight needs to surface the lessons learned with regard to the July 13th event ASAP so they can be implemented by August 19th at the latest, which is the start of the DNC.
Indeed it is. Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, it's always a pleasure to see you. I thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Jose.